Hello, everyone. Welcome to our special presentation today. My name is Rie Mikuni, and our presentation today will be focusing on removing the line between the two Koreas and to bring reunification on the peninsula. So by a show of hands, can I see how many people in this room knows about the situation between North and South Korea? Okay, yes, like I thought, is majority of the people in this room. But I'm sure that the knowledge and information that we know about the situation varies for each individual. So first off, I'd like to introduce where the DMZ is located, which is right here on the 38th parallel. The size is 4 kilometers by 250 kilometers, and in the middle is a military demarcation line running all the way across the peninsula, dividing Korea into two. So why is removing this line at the 38th parallel important? First, we need to understand the situation of how the DMZ was created. Who knows what divided Korea? It was the ideologies, and this conflict of ideologies was the Korean War. The Korean War was a war between North Korea and South Korea. And the North represents communism, and the South represents the free democratic nation. Communism is a thought centered on humankind and materialism, not on the unchanging God. And the fighting between the two ended on July 27, 1953, when the Korean Armistice Agreement was signed. But no peace treaty was ever signed, which means that the two Koreas are actually still at war. America and North Korea did sign a treaty, but not with South Korea. So this means that North Korea actually has the possibility to invade South Korea. The key here, then, is America. And thus, Korea became the final endpoint of the confrontation between two ideologies, Godism and atheism. The things that happened worldwide in the years after the division of North and South Korea shows how the 38th parallel really was the final frontline battle between democracy and communism. Christians' values declined, and communist powers quickly influenced the world. And as it stands now, it's not just the communist countries that are in danger, but also the democratic countries, quickly losing to this power and causing problems. So according to the research companies Gallup Korea, Statistics Korea, and the Pew Research Center, young Koreans are now leaving their churches. It says, in 2021, 60% of Koreans 19 years or older had no religious beliefs. This is up from 46% of people expressing no religious beliefs in 2010. And not just in Korea, but in America as well. 3 out of every 5 young Christians, approximately 59%, disconnect either permanently or for an extended period of time from church life after the age of 15. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because historically, Christianity has advocated that God serves as society's moral compass, that God was the baseline. But now, as we progressively grow away from God, we see a rise in relativism centered on people, meaning I can do what I want to do based on my standard of what is right and wrong. We become a culture that propagates hedonism and self-centered ideals. So even if there are challenges or conflicts in the world, we think it's okay because I'm happy doing what I want to do. So that is fundamentally the ideology of communism. So we can ask ourselves, do I want this kind of ideology promoting this kind of self-centered individualism, or do I want one that can direct me towards altruism and really live for the sake of God and for others? We also see other problems in the world because of these communistic influences. So how does religious beliefs apply to the economic and political situation of a country? According to the Pew Research Center, once again, after surveying people from 26 different countries, actively religious adults were more likely that they vote in the national elections compared to those that were unaffiliated or inactive. And this correlation was particularly found to be true in Christian majority nations, which includes right here, the United States, and also South Korea. So what this trend can indicate is that those who are religiously active are more likely to engage in activities that serve the interest of their community and or their nation, with one of these activities being voting. Therefore, it may be likely that as the trend in religious activity decreases, the tendency to be involved or even pay attention to the matters that concerns the economic and political situation for a country may decrease as well. So let's see, does this trend apply as well to young adults? So what you see over here is the South Korean youth survey results for the necessity of unification in 2018 and 2022 by the Institution for Peace and Unification Studies by Seoul National University. So what do we see over here? We see this difference in colors, right? So to explain, the red colors show how many people see the necessity for unification. And in comparison, the blue shows how many people do not see the necessity for Korean reunification. And we see a big difference, right? So what happened between 2018 to 2022? In 2018, still 54.1% of the youth saw the necessity for reunification. But by 2022, it has reduced all the way down to 27.6%. And on the other hand, the people that said that it wasn't necessary increased from 17.7% to 39.7%, almost doubling its number. So even among South Koreans, this issue is falling down to the side. And this is why our mission as CARP, and for us having this symposium today, is to spread awareness for the reunification of North and South Korea. The inspiration for our mission is Reverend Sum Young-moon and Dr. Hak Ja-han Moon, who has worked their whole life to spread hope for realizing the unity of Korea. And seeing and experiencing the situation of Korea themselves, Reverend and Mrs. Moon felt the pain as their own. And they decided to take action by going to North Korea themselves. Risking their own life, they addressed the very concern of the creation of these godless societies. And they brought hope for the reunification of North and South Korea. The question comes to, what if we don't take this initiative? Then what future will we be led to? The future of our society rests upon the youth, like many of us sitting here today. But if our society remains divided by ideological conflicts, by communism, then we risk going into an era marked by war and suffering. However, fostering unity and peace, particularly through the efforts in Korea, will help us to create a more promising and harmonious world. And we really want to understand the investments and efforts of our elders and their pain and suffering so that we as young people can inherit and take on what they have started to make a change in this world. So now is the time. Next generation can stand up and make a change. And we really need to educate ourselves as the next generation on the importance of why we need to reunify North and South Korea. And many of us, I'm sure a lot of us here right now may be wondering, what can we do? What can we meaningfully do to help support North and South Korea unity? Geopolitically, realistically, not much, maybe. I don't think there's any Korean politicians in the room here today. But I really think we can do enough.
감사합니다. Thank you. 안녕하세요. 제 이름 미쿠니입니다. 감사합니다. That's all the Korean I know. That's all my Korean. Yes. Sorry to quickly mention for everybody in the audience, you have a packet, some papers in front of you that will have the translated script to everything that we are sharing today. So if anybody does not have it, please raise your hand and we will get you the packet so you can follow with us. But yes, to continue where Rie just left off on, yes, I think I am also Japanese. I'm also very American. So it took me some time to get to where I am here speaking about this topic. And so I wouldn't be here if at some point I also wasn't touched by the story and what happened between North and South Korea. And so I think we can all relate. When we see vision, when we see purpose, and when our hearts are moved, then we feel compelled to move and to take action. And so I'm with, as was mentioned, I'm with a group called CARP, Collegiate Association for the Research of Principle. And so with CARP in Los Angeles, we have eagerly made many efforts to bring the groundwork for reunification in North and South Korea here in Los Angeles. And so in 2017 and 2018, we did a big trip to Korea called the Hyeojung trip. I went to the one in 2018 where we went with 360 other young people. It's incredible. And so I want to kind of quickly share my story with getting involved with Korea. Originally, I went to this Korea trip to work on my life of faith, and because I thought it would be fun. It's very fun. So that was accomplished. But for me, I think I came to Korea, South Korea, not knowing so much about Korea's history, why it was divided. I didn't really know much. And so I came there and we did so many different activities. And one of them was we prayed, if you see on the screen, we prayed at the demilitarized zone, the border between North and South Korea. And then if you see, there's this large fence that's guarding the way. And on it are these thousands of these prayer ribbons. They're colorful prayer ribbons. They're beautiful on the left side. And I remember we took a time with our group to pray for North and South reunification. And at that moment, actually, for me, I didn't really know what to expect, but when I was praying, I didn't know when, how, or if Korea can be reunified. But I remember my prayer that day at the fence. And I remember suddenly tears started streaming down my face. I think I was seeing this prayer wall, and I was thinking about every single prayer that was written on there. How many tears were shed with each ribbon, prayers of reunification. How many loved ones were separated from this divide. And so I think when I saw that, and I just felt so much heartbreak in myself. And I think we can all relate. When we shed tears for other people, we feel their pain, their suffering as if it's our own. So we cry. And in those few minutes of prayer, I really did feel, even just a little bit, that their pain was my pain. So that's what got me started. So this was an inspiring trip. We did many other activities on that trip. We had different rallies, programs. We received a lot of education. This was one of our rallies at the Gwanghwamun, which is a large gate in downtown Seoul. And we had 400 students there, American and about 100 from Japan too. And together we all sang, actually, just like earlier, Uriye Soun Tonggil. We sang that together and we prayed. And we heard a lot of peace on that day. We also had another symposium in the National Assembly in South Korea, the Capitol building. And we had representatives from Korea, from Japan, and from America. And they all gave these heartwarming speeches and their desire for unification, all three countries. So these are just some of our activities. It was great. But of course, we didn't just do things in Korea. We took that spirit in Korea and we brought it back here in Los Angeles in America. And so we engaged in many local activities. One of our major programs that we did back here in America was on June 25th of 2022. We had a unity concert, and this was organized all by young people in CARP as well. And we worked in collaboration with, he's right here, Bishop Noel Jones of the City of Refuge Church in Gardena. And so we worked with him, and the whole purpose was for the reunification of North and South Korea. And so we brought many Christian pastors, we brought our professors from school, and of course, many young people. And we even had some media outlets come as well. And one substantial action that I'm actually really excited about is that we collaborated with the other person on the flyer, which is Pastor Dietrich Haddon. He is a famous gospel artist, and we actually wrote a song together. So CARP, we wrote a song together, and it's called Light It Up, and it was dedicated for North and South Korean reunification. Has anyone heard this song, Light It Up? Our CARP members did. You wrote it. But yes, if you guys want to hear the song, right over there, you guys can scan the QR code and see the music video. But again, this was for the sake of North and South reunification. And in these ways, we're getting so many people to be aware of this issue. And I've personally spoken to these pastors, my professors, and my friends about this issue, and so many of them said they want to go to Korea. They want to support. And actually, many of them did. Many years we've had more trips, many of them did. Another activity we engaged in is Peace Cup USA. So we are pioneering a way that through sports, we can make peace. And so we worked with the major soccer team of Los Angeles, the LA Galaxy team. We worked with, right here on the bottom, former two-time NBA champion Lamar Odom from the Lakers. And we worked once again with Bishop Noel Jones. But we worked with all these people, once again, with our primary goal for North and South reunification. And so we had young people from all over the world, from America, Japan, Korea, more places. And we had about 1,200 spectators and participants all come. This is just our most recent festival. So these are just a few of our local activities. But with all these activities that we're doing, some questions that we faced a lot actually was, why does this issue in Korea matter for us in America? How does that divide affect us? To switch gears, is anyone familiar with the communist world domination strategy? It's a big question. The top left photo on screen there is the Chinese president Xi Jinping, who visited North Korea in 2019. And in their history, they signed a mutual aid and cooperation treaty. They're the only nations that have this defense treaty with each other, and nobody else. This picture on the top right is a meeting in Russia in 2023 between leader Kim Jong-un and President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. And so they were longtime allies, and to this day, in the struggle in Ukraine and Russia, North Korea is one of those backing Russia. So I bring this up because we see these are major powerhouses, and this is a trilateral communist coalition between these three nations. And I think we see also in the news, there's a lot of tension with these nations. With North Korea, we see all this missile developments, these scares. We see tensions between China and Taiwan, where Taiwan is constantly subject to their invasions, or potential invasions. So once this coalition of communist powers arises, the world will be divided, centered on the Pacific Ocean, meaning that America will have to be involved. So one perspective is the prospect of war is there. If North and South Korea or their allies are at war, America surely will be involved. And so, therefore, this issue is not just Korea's alone, but actually it's our issue. It's my American brothers and sisters, this is our issue. So it's our responsibility and to remove the line in North and South Korea. And we believe that there's no human power, there's no money, there's no politics that can remove the line, but only love. Only true love. The love that can love our enemies can remove this ideological divide. And so we know that love, too, it starts from an individual. So every single one of us here, it can start with each one of us. By removing the line in my heart, then we can allow us to love the way that God would love. Love our enemies, love our neighbors. It's based on that type of heart of love that I believe that actually in America we sent troops to Korea's aid. We had 1,789,000 soldiers sent from America, 36,940 who were killed in action. And we interviewed some of these Korean War veterans, and we heard their testimonies about participating in the Korean War. A lot of them, they said they were 18 or 19 years old. Some of them didn't even know where Korea was, but they felt the need to save Korea because it was being attacked by communism. And so on screen here we have two of the veterans that we interviewed. On the left is Mr. Charlie, and on the right here is Lester Probst. Mr. Lester Probst recently passed away. And so we want to take this time to really honor the sacrifices and all the service that our veterans have done. But some of the things that they commented was that this history of the war in Korea, so many young people are forgetting their history. And we feel like this is such a sad reality. And so actually our founders of CARP, Reverend and Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, they really honored these veterans. And so they sent the Little Angels Children's Folk Ballet of Korea to perform an audience for all the Korean War veterans. 16 nations, right? So they went to go and to give a sincere thank you for your service. So this sincere thank you from our Korean brothers and sisters. And so as I come to a close, I wanted to kind of share some words from Reverend and Mrs. Moon, who themselves were from what you would call North Korea, northern half of Korea. This is from Reverend Moon's autobiography. I know even as I go down this road, I will have to come back up someday. And if I cannot cross the 38th parallel to visit North Korea, I will instill my ideology in my descendants and make them go in my stead. If they cannot go, I will have to send my followers. Standing with both 2 feet on the 38th parallel, I pledge through tears to unite North and South Korea with my own hands. Not even those who came with me knew that I had prayed with tears. I had left my sadness behind me, along with my parents and siblings. I have still not forgotten that as I left behind me my mother and father, who had devoted themselves to me in my hometown, I told them to wait for the day this disloyal son returned, and to not die, but to continue waiting for me. So these are the words of someone who absolutely was committed to seeing reunification happen in their lifetime. And so I'd like to conclude now with, these are now the words from his wife, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, from her memoir. I remember the summer nights when I fall asleep holding my mother's hand with the sound of hooting owls echoing in my ears. More than 70 years have passed, but the beautiful scenery and soothing sounds of Anju remain in my heart. My hometown holds many beautiful memories for me, and I want to go back there. One day, I will certainly return home. One day, I will certainly return home. I'm sure one of the first things that Reverend and Dr. Moon would have wanted to do was to go to their hometowns, right? Take walks in their old neighborhoods and point out to all of their memories with their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. And I'm sure that's the reality and the desire for so many of our Korean brothers and sisters. And so we wish to continue to spread the awareness of this conflict with your help. And we hope to continue to work together to bring unity in America, to unify the Korean Peninsula as the key for world peace. And I hope we can feel encouraged that together, whether it be another concert, or we go to Japan or Korea together, or we do Peace Cup together. I hope that we can work together to advocate the dream for a unified Korea. So thank you all so much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Rie and Mikuni for your inspiring presentation. Thank you. So at this time, you may have had some questions that you would like to ask, and we will have time for Q&A. So I would like to invite up Joshua Holmes to stand here to answer some questions. So he is the co-pastor of Los Angeles Family Church. So please, let's invite him up.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to our North and South Korea Symposium. What an amazing presentation from our student leaders. Can we give them one more gratitude? This is my wife, by the way. She didn't mention, and I'm very proud of her. She's doing a good job, right, as MC? And if you've met Sister Nancy Naoko-san, she's my mother-in-law. So she's her mom. So this is family. And so we want to ask if there's any question that anyone might have. So while you're thinking, I can explain our context. Like she mentioned, she's Japanese. I'm basically white American, half Japanese, but mainly American. And at 2018, we started making a lot of effort for the sake of North and South Korea unity. And since then, we've been studying very deeply how it can happen. We are passionate because we want to see what we believe is God's dream realized. God's dream is to unite North and South Korea. This is our belief, our faith, our hope. So this is our passion. So can I ask if there are any questions anyone might have? Naomi-san. Wait one moment. We'll have a mic go around.
I have a question about the Peace Cup. I heard that they will have a Peace Cup in North Korea, November 2nd. And do you have any plan, any action from America? That's I'm very interested.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a great question. So I want to correct. We do not have a Peace Cup in North Korea November 2nd. I heard this rumor going around. So for those, many of you may not know, we are also the directors of a nonprofit called Peace Cup. This was founded by Father and Mother Moon. And the idea was that we can use sports as the way to be able to enter North Korea and create more peaceful harmony and relationship. That's why we became friends with the president of the Jokku Association, because we know that even Jokku is a national sport of the entire Korean peninsula, not just south, but also north. So we're very interested how we can, through Jokku, be able to create unity between North and South Korea. But it's not yet scheduled, not November 2nd, but sometime in next year, 2025, we have gotten approval to be able to begin the conversation to prepare for that. So please support Peace Cup all that you can so that we can reach that goal. Thank you. Great question. Thank you for asking. Who else has a question? Yes.
My name is Jay Lee, Korean War veterans, president of Korean War Veterans Association, Western region of USA now. Now, what I have a question about, as you know, North Korean crazy leader who is Kim Jong-un, he said that a while ago, we don't need a reunification. We need separate two nations as enemy countries. What do you think about that? Please tell me about it.
Yes. Thank you so much. First of all, for all the Korean War veterans, could you please stand and can we take a moment to honor them? We can stand and acknowledge. Thank you. Yes, it's true. Around last year, Kim Jong-un's protocol has changed drastically. First of all, he exploded the peace embassy in North Korea. This was the first major act of international denunciation of Korean unification. And then recently, as President I'm sure knows, he recently also destroyed the monument of North and South Korea unification on the road of unification that described Kim Il-sung's 3 desires for unification. That was also destroyed. This is documented and it's true. Therefore, the reality is that Kim Jong-un, his stance on North and South Korea unity has become very sour or negative. He is expressing his lack of desire for this. I'm a pastor, so if you can forgive me, our feeling towards this is even if he has this perspective, we can still win his heart. We can still win his heart. I believe in Jesus. And Jesus tells us that we are responsible to love our enemy. And if we do so, we can wash their heart. So I'm inspired by Father and Mother Moon because they were imprisoned by Kim Il-sung. But they still chose to go there and to love Kim Il-sung. So if we can do the same, actually with your leadership, we can do the same and be able to even win the heart of someone who is doing such evil things like Kim Jong-un. And I believe that we can do that. But it starts with, we have to be able to go there, meet him, and show that kind of love. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So this is my spiritual, internal feeling. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Thank you. Is there a final question from the audience? Yes, in the back.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jermaine Miyagi Bishop. It's my wife right here, Yuka, my beautiful son, Yuzuki. Anyhow, I really appreciate the message that that the brother just shared recently. And one thing that stuck out to me is the talk about how communism is a thing that we're worried about. And the idea that communism can somehow put forth this distant threat of a third world war. But my problem with that is, as a young American today, it just doesn't resonate with my heart. It doesn't give me any sense of urgency about why this matters to me right now. And I know I'm not alone in that. I think if you talk to any other young person on the streets right now, they'd probably say, what does this matter to me in my lifetime? This may matter for my grandkids. And it may not even ever substantiate. And so what is this doing to the United States right now? What is this doing to South Korea right now? What is it doing to North Koreans right now that we should even care today? Not 10 years from now or 50 years from now when the war comes, but today.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's give him a hand. This is a great question. It's about it. I think you're really asking the question of why is this really relevant to us, especially when we hear about communism. One thing for sure is that communism has taken a different flavor or a different name. Mother Moon says very specifically that what we're really fighting is human-centered ideology. Human-centered ideology. And I feel that strongly, meaning selfish individualism. And I believe that that's relevant. And I want to approach this with 2 points. One is just, in general, this is relevant because how we treat each other and kind of approaching things without God, it affects our culture. It affects the future of our children. Our country, we can lose the values that we have here if we allow human-centered ideology to expand. However, why specifically North and South Korea unification is I believe that if we can show the world that two nations can come together as one again, it would be the highest expression of true brotherly love. It would be the highest expression of people learning to love each other again. And that's what our world needs to see. We're so caught up in our own idea and my individual mindset and my human-centered thinking. But the world needs to see radical peace, amazing peace. I think the world is dreaming to witness this kind of miracle. That, wow, actually loving my brother and my sister is worth it. And if we can show that to the world, I think the world would be excited. It would be on fire with a new kind of love. So that's why I believe it's relevant, especially to us here in America. Thank you.